You know, the interesting thing about Chris's home is that the door opens directly into the street. There's no yard, there's no sidewalk, it's just door on the street.
Right. That's weird.
It's because I live in a TARDIS.
Yeah.
It's a very unconventional design to your home. So what was it? What happened?
It was, I lied, I just had to pee.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Why would you lie
Why would
to
you-
me?
We don't need you to lie to us.
That's not true.
So that was a lie.
What was a lie?
You were lying about lying? You said...
Welcome to Wiki Wiki What?
The
America's favorite
Knowledge
podcast.
podcast. Live from
About-
Chris's
No,
bathroom.
hold on. Let me start it over here. Okay.
Live from New York.
Welcome to...
It's Wiki Wiki What?
Welcome to Not Well Known Nasty Knowledge. My name is Dana. I am one of your co-hosts.
I like that name so much. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jake. Wait, are we doing it?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, let's go. Keep going.
All right.
We're live.
So-
We're live.
Right.
The mics are
so
hot.
the premise of this show, Wiki Wiki What, is that each week the three of us choose a random article starting with the same letter, learn about it, and then come on the show and teach each other about it. Bearing in mind that Wikipedia is crowdsourced information, so all information that we say on the show may be incorrect.
And also, I don't even just get my information from Wikipedia. I get it from like just strange screaming men on the street. So
Yeah.
it's even worse.
Absolutely. You got to have that supplemental knowledge.
We're going alphabetically through our Wikipedia adventure, and I don't know the number of the episode yet again, but I do know the letter that we're doing, and it is O.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
yeah.
It feels so good.
Feels so good.
So we all chose an article starting with the letter O, and we like to kind of give a teaser of what it's going to be so we can decide who should go first. So I think, Dana, why don't you just tell us your clue, baby?
Okay. Okay. So my clue for tonight is you're not allowed to murder your in-laws.
That sounds fair.
Yep. That's it.
Okay.
All right.
I'll go. So, my topic this week is on everyone's favorite food court drink.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, food court. I 100% thought he was talking about like a people's court.
Like a court, right?
kind of
Yeah,
show.
why did we
Yeah,
both
but
go
about
there?
food.
I think it was the pause.
It was.
Yeah, you really screwed
It was
that one
very
up.
misleading.
Yep.
And
Okay,
I'd like
well,
for you to apologize.
let's cut the pause in post and also cut you guys chiding me.
No. Can you just say the word food court like a normal person, and then I'll just cut it and paste it back in there?
Yeah.
Just go right now.
Okay. Food court.
No. Do it again. Do it again.
Food court.
Yeah, that'll work.
Did you
So-
leave the F off and just say ood court?
Food court. You know, so my roommate, Kaylee, has been giving me a hard time because apparently I put the emphasis on the wrong word in two-word phrases a lot. Like, I call it Breaking Bad, and it's supposed to be Breaking Bad
There you go.
or something. I don't know. I've been catching flack.
Well, he's got every right to be mad at you.
Chris, do your
My clue for mine, I kind of was toying around with a bunch because I went real deep into the Wikipedia rabbit hole. But I decided I'd just go with, it's not just your favorite cheap beer. It's also where you can see some trashy shows.
Okay.
Okay.
So there it is.
Well,
Who's titillated to go first? Throw somebody under the bus.
Chris.
Me go first?
Yeah, you go first.
All right. Gentlemen, I decided to do a little research on the Olympia Theater.
Oh.
Oh,
Yes.
man, dollar cans at Alex.
Alex's Bar, dollar can Olympias. One time for my birthday, I bought $100 worth of beer and just let anybody who wanted it take it.
What a cool guy.
Did they all go?
Yeah, I think so. And
Did you save enough for the audience?
Nice. I Wade Boggs did. So the Olympia Theater, which is also known as the Hammerstein Olympia, or Hammerstein's Olympia, it was built in, or it opened rather, in 1895, and it was built in what was it called? It was called Long Acre Square in New York.
No,
in
New York. Okay.
Yes, and do you guys know what Long Acre Square is now?
God.
Times
Yeah,
God,
baby,
yeah.
it's Times Square. So the Olympia Theater was the second theater built in what is now the theater district.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of like it paved the way. Yeah. So this was in 1895. It opened, and I believe it was only like 9 years later that they renamed it Times Square, and it became kind of the theater epicenter.
It started to pop off.
It sure did. So the Olympia Theater, it was opened. It was built by give me a moment. What's his name? Oscar Hammerstein the First, who you may know because he is the grandfather of the Hammerstein from Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Rodgers and Hammerstein. Okay, I was just about
I say
to ask.
Hammerstein. Is it Steen or Stein? Stein?
I've heard Hammerstein.
Okay, let's go with that.
But I'm not a theater guy, so what do I know?
I pretend to be a theater guy for the ladies.
Chris, you do more theater than anyone.
I know. I just came from running sound for its children. Anyways, so it's the grandfather of the Rodgers and Hammerstein, Oscar Hammerstein. But Oscar Hammerstein the First built the Olympia, and it was not open for like ever. It was only active from. So they started construction in 1890. And it was already being remodeled and was sold to somebody else by 1935. In 1935, somebody came in and they decided they wanted to tear down a lot of stuff and rebuild it in their own way. It was rebuilt with a nightclub dance hall, the International Casino, and the Criterion Movie Theater was built there.
Okay. Yep.
There's kind of no good sources that can say whether or not it was completely torn down and rebuilt or exactly what happened, but that's, I think, par for the course around the time of the Depression.
Sure.
So in
people were really depressed, so they
they were like,
like,
am I
events
going
that were
to write
happening.
this down, or am I going to eat this pencil?
Oh, I want to write down that the Olympia was torn down, but I'm so sad and poor.
So that existed for a time, and then in 1988 it was actually rebuilt again, and it was on the original site of the Olympia Theater itself. The Criterion Center Stage Right was built, and that was a theater that was kind of another traditional theater. A company called, it was a nonprofit theater company called the Roundabout Theater Company. They went in there and they started doing shows, and they actually did in 1993 they did a revival of Eugene O'Neill's Anna Christie, and this was actually the Broadway debut of Liam Neeson and Natasha Richardson.
Okay.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah, it was also the home of the 1995 revival of Stephen Sondheim's Company.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it was a theater. It was a notable theater, and it was putting on good shows until Economy came, and they said, "Hey, Times Square Theater, Toys R Us wants to purchase you because they want to open up a flagship store." And
Now,
so
are you just using the empirical word economy, or was there a company
no, there was
called
nothing.
Economy?
I think it was. This is in the. If you know, like, about like Giuliani cleaning up New York and how they kind of wanted to Disneyfy Times Square, and that's when everything got cleaned out of there. I don't know. I know that all the prices went up for a lot of places, so a ton of places had to sell. So Toys R Us ends up going in there, and they're planning to spend approximately $35 million on a flagship store that's over where the Olympia Theater was.
That's a huge bummer.
Yeah, so they built this store, and they wanted it to be like their flagship, to establish themselves as the top retailer in the toy field. This is the store that, I don't know if you guys are aware of it. It had a 60-foot Ferris wheel inside of the store.
Whoa.
Yeah, so
Really?
it was this big silly thing. Then it turns out in 2015, the economy had turned around so much that Toys R Us's lease was up, and they decided, we can't be here anymore, because their rent was going to increase from about $12 million a year to $42 million a year.
Wow.
Yeah, so they got out of there.
So when did they go in?
They went in 2000.
Oh, okay, so before the recession.
Yeah. So they're in 2000. Then in 2015, they had to vacate. The Gap Incorporated actually purchased it. They signed the lease. They're going to open up a Gap and an Old Navy store in Times Square. And it was so they started in July. They started construction for the new store. And as they were ripping stuff out, it was interesting that they actually found some of the remnants of the original Olympia Theater.
Oh, man,
under
that's
the floors of the Toys R Us. So that's the Olympia Theater, but now I'm going to switch to Oscar Hammerstein, the first, who was an immigrant from Prussia. So he comes over, he's born there. When was he born? He was born in 1846. And so at a young age, he was a kind of a really good musician. His parents tried to push him into doing more practical things and wanted him to like focus on math. But then one day, this is an unsubstantiated, so it says like citation needed. But yeah, apparently his father wanted him to continue his education. And then one day, Oscar went skating in the park. His father found out about it and whipped him as a punishment.
Oh my God, he just went skating.
Yeah.
Come on, Dad.
This is what they say spurred Hammerstein to run away to North America.
Oh.
So that seems like just a whole lot of somebody
God.
writing a narrative. But anyways, he ends up selling some of his instruments so he could actually get the money to come to America. And so he goes to and gets to New York.
And he's like, I can skate all day
he was like,
now. I'm
watch
in
me
America.
go. So in order to make money, what he did was he worked at a cigar factory. And first he was just like helping stock all the stuff, but then he's ended up working his way up to becoming a cigar maker himself. He also founded the U.S. Tobacco Journal, and then it says he's the owner of at least 80 patents that were mostly to do with improvements in the machines to make cigars. And the most well-known was something that actually used air suction to hold down the tobacco leaves so that you could cut them more cleanly.
Oh, wow. That's actually really impressive.
Yeah, well, but you gotta imagine that this was the time, this is industrialization. It was like the most simple ideas. Like you saw something shown somewhere else and you could just jump in. So he ends up doing that.
There wasn't a lot of competition.
There wasn't a ton.
If you had a really good idea and some smart people, you're going to be the one that comes out on top.
Yeah, you'll be fine. So he ends up making a obscene amount of money off of all these patents that he has. And with that money, he goes back to his first love, which was theater and music. So he ends up building in his lifetime, I want to say it was like 8 theaters total. But he opened up his first theater. It was the Harlem Opera House.
So these are are these all in New York?
No, they're not. They're actually all over the place. He opened up, and it gets kind of weird because he started doing stuff where like he didn't like the Metropolitan Opera House, and so he opened up the what did he call it?
The Retropolitan.
No. He opened up the Manhattan Opera House.
Okay.
And he just wanted to directly compete with them. He also opened up the Philadelphia Opera House and then an opera house in London. But the Olympia Theater was the 4th theater venue that he opened up, and that one was actually a multi-purpose space. It had a music hall, a concert hall, and the theater with an open-air garden on the top.
Oh,
so
how
he
nice.
just kept doing all this stuff. And when he opened the Olympia, the first show that was in there was an opera that he had written himself. That was actually reviewed well, but apparently the production was so expensive that it turned into a weird thing where he wasn't really making money.
And
it says he had only profited 1/10 of the cost.
It was called "Why My Dad Didn't Let Me Skate."
It was called Lil Skating Boy
Little
Wanna
Skating
Sing Song.
Oscar.
Yeah. No, it was called Santa Maria. So that's Oscar Hammerstein. So he has 2 sons, William and Arthur. William was the father of Oscar II, who wrote all the musicals. Arthur, Yes. Well, he wrote a ton.
A lot.
Yeah. Arthur followed in his father's footsteps and actually was more interested in being an artistic. William, however, was much more interested in kind of like making money and being kind of he managed a lot of the theaters, and so he's managing some theaters, and I can't for the life of me find this quote, and I don't know where I saw it, but there was something to the effect of one of the theaters he was managing, he was trying to put on legitimate like high class shows, but he wasn't filling the house, and so then he was quoted as saying something to the effect of, well, if I can't get you in with like gold, then I'll get you in with garbage. And he actually was a big person to like move forward the burlesque and vaudeville movement.
Oh.
And so he ends up taking over the Olympia Theater, and he gets a notorious group called the Cherry Sisters. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They performed for him, and so they were renowned for this, and there's actually a famous court case where they sued the Des Moines Ledger because they posted this about the Cherry Sisters. The article was titled "The Cherry Sisters Were Here," and the critic then said something about described the sisters as being, quote, three creatures surpassing the witches in Macbeth in general hideousness.
Oh my God.
And then he also said, the mouths of their rancid features opened like caverns, and sounds of the wailings of the damned souls issued therefrom.
Oh my God.
And so like it was a weird thing where it was kind of the first show that was known to be very bad, but people went to see it because of how bad it was.
Okay, so
it's almost like
he started
it's the
doing
original
these,
The Room.
He started doing these as sort of almost like what they do in The Producers. Like he expected it to go poorly,
No, he wasn't expecting it to go poorly. It was just that he could lower ticket prices and fill the theater.
Oh, okay, so he's just doing
trash
seat fillers. Right, okay.
Yeah, so he started doing this, and
so he's like, I'm going to do the 1930s version of Norbit and just fill these seats.
Yeah, baby. Well, and that was actually one of the things he would do is he actually had high like ticket acts come in, but they would do very limited things. Like he had Buster Keaton perform. He had Irving Berlin was in there and was billed as the composer of 100 hits.
So they'd come in for like 5 minutes, and
yeah, they would come in and they'd be part of the show, but it was more of a variety show.
Yeah,
and then he would just like fill the rest with just absolute nonsense that he didn't have to pay them very much for. So as I'm reading this stuff, and it was talking about the acts that came in, they mentioned one thing that I didn't recognize the name, and it was a woman named Evelyn Nesbit. Have you ever heard of her?
Yeah, I think Eddie Murphy made a movie about her.
Yeah, where he played her and her mother and her Asian,
I think
uncle.
Isn't that the lady that Buzz Lightyear claims that he is in Toy Story when he's drinking the tea?
I think you might be right. Why don't you look that up?
Nesbit.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So
surely there's no connection here.
I did not see anything in there, but
I googled her. Ooh.
Oh yeah. So this is I wasn't aware of her, but this is like this absolutely bananas story of she was like a young girl who her mother was kind of, I think her father passed away or didn't know him. Her mother was like kind of this lady who just couldn't hold down a job. She was a seamstress, but she was out of work. They lived in New York, and so eventually she went to Philadelphia to find work, and she got Evelyn to like it was Evelyn and her brother had to come with her. So I think she was like 12 at the time that they go to Philadelphia. Her mother gets a job at this store called Wanamaker's. It's a department store, and she's working at the fabric counter. So she's working there. Once she kind of gets on her feet, she calls both of the children from New York to live in Philadelphia. They actually both start working in the store, and they're doing 12-hour days, 6 days a week. Evelyn was 14 at the time, and her brother was 12 years old.
You know, back when child labor was A-OK.
Yeah, super cool. So she goes there, and while Evelyn is working, somebody comes in and is like just stricken by her beauty. It says that through a serendipitous encounter with an artist that was just struck by the teenager's beauty and evocative charm. So the artist asks if Nesbit can come and pose for a portrait. So the mother, Mrs. Nesbit, I'll call her, verifies that the artist was a woman and that her daughter wasn't going to be in any trouble. She lets her go, and she sits for 5 hours to be painted and earned $1. which
It's a pretty good deal.
at the time though was so in it says in 2016 money that's like $27.50,
Not bad.
which is
That's
still
below minimum wage.
Below
Yeah.
minimum wage.
But it's just this thing where she talks about which I want to know what their working wage was, because apparently Nesbitt said, when I saw I could earn more money posing as an artist model than I could at Wanamaker's, I gave my mother no peace until she permitted me to pose for a livelihood. So that's the start of her modeling career. So she was just like a striking figure for the time. She decided she was going to become a model, started posing for a lot of things. She was actually a popular cover face for Vanity Fair and Harper's Bazaar and Ladies' Home Journal at the time and Cosmopolitan. So she was like a very successful woman, but it was in like a really weird thing because she was a very young girl who still like needed her mother's permission for everything.
Right.
And there's actually a quote that Mrs. Nesbitt, because there's like paintings of her topless and stuff, Mrs. Nesbitt says that that's not actually real, like somebody just fabricated that. And she is quoted as saying, "I never allowed Evelyn to pose in the altogether," which apparently at the time meant in the nude.
Right.
So
All right.
Evelyn, her career kind of continues. She gets all these things. But the really interesting thing about her is when you get into the relationships portion of her Wikipedia, and there's this man, Stanford White, who actually was an architect who built I didn't know this, but I looked it up, that he built the second Madison Square Garden, I believe.
Oh.
Because there's been multiple Madison Square Gardens, and the current Madison Square Garden, I think, is number 4, and the third one was the first one that wasn't actually built in Madison Square. So they just like kept the name because of its notoriety.
Oh, that's really lazy.
Yeah, it's a really weird thing. But so anyway, Stanford White is this man who met Evelyn and kind of became infatuated with her when he was 47 years old and Evelyn was 16.
Oh.
And the problem is that the actual birth year of Evelyn is often obscured by her mother, so there's a possibility that she was only 14 when she met Stanford
Oh,
White.
no!
Yes. So this man, who was a notorious womanizer, decides he likes her. And there's a quote here that says something about Stanford was a practiced voluptuary.
Nope.
And White used he used intermediaries to disarm the girl. So
No.
he he brought her with groups of people and stuff to like meet her.
Can someone please do a definition on voluptuary?
When we get to V. So then it goes, so this is just the main story about her romances. It goes into these sections, one called the Red Velvet Swing, which mentions a time Stanford White lived in the apartments above what is the FAO Schwartz toy store. And he had like all these lavish, crazy rooms. And one of the rooms was
So Jake has just pasted the definition of voluptuary into our chat.
And then me IRL.
Yeah.
This section's called the Red Velvet Swing because he actually had like a red velvet padded bench swing with rope hanging from the ceiling that was like wrapped with ivy, and somehow he like told her to like get on the swing and like swing, and then one of her friends was there and she had a paper like a oriental umbrella parasol that they played a game where Evelyn tried to like shred the parasol with her feet while she swung on this swing.
Oh my god, Chris, you're yucking me out right now.
It's super gross, and it gets worse. So then the next section is called the Mirror Room, and so Evelyn's mother goes back to Pittsburgh because she was like kind of jealous of her daughter and that she was just like managing her daughter's modeling career. So she leaves for a while, and several nights after her mother left for Pittsburgh, Evelyn and White were together in his apartment again, and so they ate together, they drank some champagne. Then he wanted to give her a tour of more of the rooms in his house, and then eventually he unveils what is called the Mirror Room, which was a 10-foot by 10-foot room, and on the ceiling and
this
all
is
the
the
walls.
room in which I'm going to murder you.
Well,
No.
Get
It's
ready
like
for it.
50 Shades of Grey with a kid.
So the room was just covered in mirrors, completely paneled with mirrors, except for one green velvet sofa that was in there. So they sat in there, they drank more champagne. Apparently, it just says Evelyn changed into a yellow satin kimono, and then she said that this was the last memory that she had before losing consciousness. She subsequently awoke lying nearly naked in a bed next to White. And then this is a quote also. It says, she had, quote, entered the room a virgin, but did not come out as one.
Oh, no.
So that's
man.
a story. Evelyn, after that, she actually became involved with John Barrymore, who is the great-grandfather or great-grandfather of Drew Barrymore. I forget. But he was an actor, and then I also clicked on that. I'm not going to go into that, but I clicked on that, and it's really, really crazy how many actors are in the Barrymore family, so I recommend people check that out. Eventually, Evelyn meets up with this guy, Harry Kendall Thaw. They form this relationship. I'm going to speed up, sorry. They form this relationship. He was like this mentally disturbed, really, really rich boy, and they end up getting married after a while, but they're in Europe one time, and because she's actually done books, and there's been a lot of retellings of her story.
Mm-hmm.
They're in Europe. He's kind of pressing her to find out what happened with Stanford White. And he just keeps pushing her and asking her to tell him. And then Nesbitt eventually said that she was intoxicated and unconscious while White, and she, I quote, had his way with her.
Oh,
and
man.
so this really, really upset Kendall Thaw. They get married eventually, and they're back in New York. So fast forward to New York, June 25th, 1906. They are in New York. They're going to go catch a show that was on the rooftop theater of the Madison Square Garden that White had built. So they're going to see this show. What was the name of the show? It was called Mademoiselle Champagne, written by Edgar Allan Wolfe. So they're going. They have dinner before with some friends, and it was an incredibly hot day in the summer in New York. But all the gentlemen are still in tuxedos. But for some reason, what was his name? Thorpe? What was his? Thaw. He still had an overcoat on that he just refused to remove. Nobody really understood why, but there's just documents of this. So at 11 p.m., the show is coming to an end. Stanford White arrives, and he sits at the table that he is customarily reserved for him. Thaw apparently had been agitated and pacing all evening, and he would get up and walk forward and come back and sit down. But upon White's arrival, he gets up, he walks over to him, and it was during the finale song, I Could Love a Million Girls. Thaw produces a pistol, and standing about 2 feet from his target, he fires 3 shots into White's head and back.
Oh my!
And it killed him instantly. Apparently, he blasted off part of White's head. His face was unrecognizable, and there was powder burns all over him. And there's because there was an audience full of people. There's a lot of people, and they the quote is differing depending on who you ask. But apparently, he said something to the effect of, I did it because he ruined my wife. He had it coming to him. He took advantage of the girl and then abandoned her. You'll never get to go out with a woman again.
Clearly.
Oh my God, Chris, this is tragic as fuck, dude.
It's really it was and I'm not even halfway through this article, but it's a bananas story, but it was as I just kept diving deeper and deeper, it was so interesting. But this also became a weird thing where the press went crazy about the trial. This is in 1906, and so to me it seems very similar to the OJ trial and similar to also the
similar to the
Kardashians
assassination of Lincoln. What is our country's fascination with killing people in theaters?
But during the trial, it was actually reported as the trial of the century, which is also what they said the OJ trial was. But
yeah.
Through all this press coverage was how Evelyn Nesbitt became even more notorious, and that's why she started doing all these shows where she was touring and making appearances. She was also an actress, performed on stage and in film, and there's a ton of nonfiction and fictional accounts of what had happened. But I recommend people look it up, because once, I thought I was going to talk about the Cherry Sisters because they're just this garbage act that was hilarious, and then I clicked on Evelyn Nesbitt, and I was like, this is so interesting. But yeah, so that is a brief history of the Olympia Theater.
You were supposed to make me laugh, Christopher.
I didn't. I went the other way this time.
No, I started laughing. Everything was great when Oscar wasn't allowed to skate.
Yeah, when little baby Oscar couldn't skate.
Man.
But then, then that happened.
Dark.
So were you inspired to do this from watching that OJ trial thing on Netflix?
No, I was actually inspired. So this is the way I'm kind of showing how the sausage is made. But the way that I pick what I want to talk about often is I see something or I read something that I'm like, oh, that's interesting, but that's not the letter I want to do right now. So let me go to the Wikipedia page and find something loosely associated with that.
That's fine.
So that's how it's actually, there was an episode of Drunk History talking about the Cherry Sisters and their show, which I recommend. And like, I went on their page and I was like, this is crazy. And then I saw that they performed in New York at the Olympia Theater. And so then I went to the Olympia Theater and then I realized that it was Oscar Hammerstein. And I was like, oh my gosh, is that like Rodgers and Hammerstein? And then I went to his page and realized it was a grandfather. And I was like, this stuff is, it was a pure Wikipedia
and
moment.
Now I'm on a knowledge adventure.
Yeah, exactly. So I put on my detective cap and I delved deep.
Well, thank you very
But there it is.
much.
Yeah.
Man, I love Drunk History. Such a good show.
It's really good and confusingly accurate.
So good.
I hope someday that we can deliver that level of quality with this show.
Okay, so first of all, we need to drink more, if that's what you're...
I don't.
No problem there.
All right. Who's going next?
What were the clues again? I know there was the strange pronunciation of food court, and then Dana, what was yours?
Foot corpse.
Foot corpse.
Food court. My hint was you're not allowed to murder your in-laws.
I'd like to hear about that. We'll save the. I'm terrified that Jake's going to say food court like a million times in his article, and I
actually
don't
even say it one time.
Well, that's now I'm confused. But
all right, Dana, go.
Dana, go.
All right. So you're not allowed to murder your in-laws, but you are allowed to murder your outlaws.
Okay. God.
Come on.
Shut up, dude.
Come on. Okay, so
is that
no, I'm doing outlaws. All right.
I know. I get it.
Jesus. All right. Outlaws, right? You guys have heard of them. You've heard of the term. In fact,
I have been them.
There's probably not much I can teach you. So we can just skip to Jake's if you guys want.
There we go.
Yeah. All right, my turn.
Foot court.
So my topic is Orange Julius.
No, we're not skipping mine.
Outlaws.
I got some info. Okay, you want some info?
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Hit me with it.
So as far as the history of law is concerned, an outlaw is a person that is declared outside the protection of the law. In pre-modern society, the criminal pretty much gets all of his legal protections withdrawn, and then anyone is legally empowered to either persecute them or kill them. This has made what's called outlawry one of the harshest penalties in the history of the legal system. So in early Germanic law, they actually didn't practice the death penalty; they just did outlawry. I mean, if you think about how extreme outlawry is, it's pretty much almost the same as a death sentence anyway.
Yeah,
you never really know when. It's just you never really know when or where it's going to happen.
It's like selective the purge.
Exactly. The concept of outlawry actually comes from Roman law, so a lot even further back, where it's known as homo sacer or saucer. I probably not saucer.
Homo soft serve?
Homo soft serve, which is actually Latin for the accursed man or the sacred man, which I'll go into. I looked up homo sacer because it sounded super interesting. And one of the things that stood out to me is that outlaws could be killed by anyone, but may not be sacrificed in a religious ritual. And I went, what?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you're not supposed to do that. You need a good sacrifice.
Right. Well, no. This was actually because some outlaws could have actually gotten the status of homo sacer because they were considered oath breakers. So if you think about it, an oath is actually already like a form of conditional self-cursing, right? You're bound to this promise. And so what they would do is they would invoke one or more deities and ask for their punishment in the event of breaking the oath. And so from that point forward, they're no longer actually the property of human society. They are property of this deity. And so because of that, you're not under the protection of human law and anyone can kill you. But you cannot be consecrated to any different god or the like, because you are property of the god that you have sworn the oath to. So I thought that was really interesting.
So how many times do you talk about paladins for the rest of this?
0%.
Okay.
But if you did you want to say something?
Well, in 5th ed, you can become that Oathbreaker paladin and be a sweet...
Yeah, just a murder machine.
Sweet, evil paladin. I don't know. It's whatever. Continue.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy. You're kind of in this like limbo area between the realm of humans and the realm of your patron deity, right? Any human can kill you, but they cannot sacrifice you. So as far as history is concerned, in ancient Rome, they had this penalty called interdicere aquae et ignis. So based on your rudimentary knowledge of Latin from pop culture and video games, do you guys want to take a stab at what you think that means? Interdicere aquae et ignis.
Something about water and fire in there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So it means...
Interrupt it.
It means to forbid water and fire.
Oh, no water, no fire.
Right. So people that were given this penalty were actually required to completely leave Roman territory and forfeit their property. And if they came back, they were effectively outlaws. And providing them the use of water or fire was illegal. And they could be killed at will without any sort of legal penalty. So that's where that comes from.
Huh.
And it fell out of use during the early Roman Empire around 230 AD. So skipping forward a few centuries, in English common law, an outlaw was a person who had defied the laws of the realm and either didn't show up to court or they took off running when they were charged with a crime rather than staying and pleading. Outlawry in England actually was a phenomenon that predated the Magna Carta. I don't know if you guys know what the Magna Carta is, but it was the document that introduced due process and habeas corpus into the world. And the most famous English outlaw? Come on.
Robin Hood.
It's really easy. There you go, Robin Hood.
Robin Hood. Is he a real person or is he just a myth?
So his historical existence has not ever been proven. So
Kind of like Jesus.
there's that. Whoa.
I mean, so is this going to be a lost episode or what?
So it was considered the harshest penalty in the legal system to be declared an outlaw, since the outlaw could not use said system for any sort of protection for themselves. For instance, they couldn't protect themselves from mob justice, which, funny enough, has a technical term that also starts with an O called ochlocracy. Yeah, I think it's ochlocracy.
Ooh.
Honestly, being an outlaw doesn't sound that bad.
No.
It just sounds like you're off the grid, bro.
You're off
It
the
also
grid.
seems... Yeah, it seems like it's like depending on what the crime was, and if like it was like a dangerous person who did a dangerous thing, you're just like cornering a dangerous animal. You're like, oh well, guess what? Now you can't even like be around people. And it's like, oh well, I guess I'll just kill people and live in their house until somebody comes by. Or is that just the way my brain works?
I think that's the way that you play Skyrim, is what you're describing.
It kind of is.
So to be declared an outlaw was basically to suffer a form of like civil or societal death. It was illegal to give outlaws food or shelter or any kind of help. Otherwise, you'd be accused of aiding and abetting, and then would be in danger of being outlawed yourself.
Oh,
Right.
It spreads.
It spreads. So killing an outlaw was actually not only lawful, but considered meritorious. So if you were to kill a thief that was fleeing from justice, it was not considered murder. It was like, hey man, good job. You got
That's
him.
how they trick you into being part of the system.
Right.
It's like that video. Have you ever seen that video of like somebody like snatching a purse in Russia, and then some guy just does this like spinning back wheel kick and blasts that guy in the face while he runs past him?
I have seen that video.
It's incredible, and that is exactly what you're talking about right now.
The thief doesn't get away.
He doesn't. He gets kicked in the face.
So,
Yeah.
The caveat is if you do kill a thief, you were expected to immediately declare, I killed this thief. Otherwise, the dead the dead thief's kindred could come back and they could clear his name by their oath and require you to pay a kind of restitution. Okay, so I didn't quite understand this sentence, right? So I clicked this link and it took me to this article called Compurgation. And
Compurgation.
Compurgation, which is
this game. Keep the rhythm or you'll be out of this game.
which is called
What?
This is that concentration little rhyming game you played as a dumb kid.
I don't think I played that game.
You spent
to
an
have.
entire episode talking about how nervous that game made you. No, that was perfection.
No, that was perfection. I didn't talk about it for 20 minutes.
All right. Compurgation. So compurgation is also called the wager of law, and it was basically this defense that was used in medieval times where a dude could establish his innocence by taking an oath and by getting this group of people to kind of swear that they believe the defendant's oath. So it's like this character reference that your family or neighbors could come in and be like, yeah, no, Garrett would never do that. He's totally a cool guy. It's like a really non-impartial jury.
If two people promise.
So compurgation was phased out around 1200 AD because of how terrible it was and not a great barometer for judging people.
Nonsense it is.
But here's the crazy part. It could still be used in your defense in England as late as 1833.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it stuck around a long time.
Well, they basically do that still now. Like, people bring in character witnesses.
Yeah.
It's not probably as strong as compurgation used to be.
Compurgation was literally like your whole family was like, nah, he's cool. He's fine. He didn't kill that guy.
You can't
They
trust
should have
those
done
people.
that
They
for the
raised a
Hatfields and the
criminal.
McCoys.
Yeah. So eventually outlawry and criminal law faded out, not necessarily because changes to legal systems, but because civilization became so densely populated that it was more and more difficult to actually evade being captured. So there weren't a lot of places to run to. Also, international extradition acts did not help the matter. So a lot of the rest of this article was just kind of repeating the same shit. So I clicked on this link called List of Famous Outlaws, and I was like, yeah, here we go.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So because this is how I roll, I decided to pick an American outlaw whose last name begins with O so that I could be in the realm of the episode. But I tried to pick somebody that wasn't
You're a better man than I.
Wasn't well, you did Oscar Hammerstein. Come on. Give yourself some credit. But I tried to pick somebody that may not have been super well known. And I chose Edward Capehart O'Kelly. So Edward O'Kelly was known as the man who murdered Robert Ford, who was known for killing the famous outlaw Jesse James to receive a bounty. Right. So not a whole lot is known about his youth. He was being reported as being born in Harrisonville, Missouri in 1857, and he grew up during the American Civil War. There's an interesting tidbit here. In Dr. Thomas O'Kelly, which is the man that married his mother, in his Civil War pension file, Edward was not actually listed as a beneficiary, so it's believed that he was not actually his biological son. So we don't have very much information on who this guy's dad was. So he grows up, and he befriends Jesse James around 1882, and he and his brother Charlie join their gang, and they live with Jesse and his family for a long time. Eventually, Robert Ford, who is also part of this gang, shoots Jesse James in the back and collects that cool 10 G's. So after getting his money, he goes off and he starts his own saloon in Creede, Colorado, not far from a silver mine in the area. And on June 8th, 1892, just before Ford is opening up a saloon, O'Kelly rolls up and he's like, "Hello, Bob." And at this point, Ford is facing away from him, and as he turns around to see who it is, O'Kelly just blows him away.
Nice.
He never
That's rude.
he never really explains why he killed Ford, but I really love this next sentence, which reads, "It has been alleged that Soapy Smith, the infamous Colorado con man, had convinced him that he would be a hero for killing Ford, who was very unpopular."
So was he a hero?
No, not really. I wouldn't really call him a hero.
I also wouldn't.
You might call him like an outlaw.
I would not take advice from Soapy.
Soapy Smith.
Get out of here, Soapy.
Oh, Soapy Smith. That dude's clean.
Yeah. So he's given a life sentence, okay, which then gets reduced to 18 years. But he ends up only serving like 9 of these years. I don't know how this sentence degraded over time, but they're just like getting fed up with having him in there. Like, oh, just let him out. It's the Old West. And so that's kind of where the information trail ends on his like jail time. Mm-hmm. So after he's released, O'Kelly, he moves out to Oklahoma City, and in 1904, he gets arrested by this police officer named Bunker. And after a while, Bunker ends up releasing him, and he goes back to his hotel where he goes around telling people, and this is O'Kelly saying this, "The police better not try and arrest me again." So
that's an insane thing to say.
I feel.
Right?
That is how I feel every day.
So that very same evening, Officer Joseph Burnett is walking around on his beat, and he encounters O'Kelly, and he greets him politely, right? And O'Kelly goes, "Hell nah," and he punches him in the face, and he takes his revolver out and goes, "You come with me, I'll arrest you, you son of a bitch." Citation needed.
Oh my goodness.
Citation needed. So did he take him to jail?
So he goes to strike at Burnett again, but Burnett grabs his gun, and they go into this like life or death struggle, right? And O'Kelly is like firing off his pistol a whole bunch, and he's trying to shoot Officer Burnett, and he's running his mouth, and he's vowing to kill him. And all this whole time, Burnett is just calling out for help, like on the street. Eventually,
like he's made a mistake or something.
Right. So eventually O'Kelly runs out of ammo in his revolver, and he ends up just biting like huge chunks out of this policeman's ears.
He's on bath salts.
And Burnett,
oh my goodness.
Burnett is just screaming out. Like,
got him from Soapy.
At one point, he yells out at some like random dudes walking by, "Help! I'm a police officer." And they reply with, and this is the quote. They reply with, "We don't know that."
Wait, is this all taking place in a comedy?
And they just keep walking because it's the Old West.
Oh my goodness.
So
that's amazing.
I don't know, man. It's the cops' jobs to help me, not my job to help them. Next.
Eventually some other dude named A.G. Paul, who's this railroad baggage guy, comes running from the depot. He grabs O'Kelly's hand, which frees up Burnett's gun hand. Burnett wheels around, shoots O'Kelly twice, and kills him. And
wow.
I like this. This is where I'll end it. This makes Burnett the man who killed the man who killed the man who killed Jesse James.
There you go. What a title.
So
that's who you want to be.
That interaction with the police officer reminded me so much of, have you guys ever seen the movie Run, Ronnie, Run? It's like David Cross and Bob Odenkirk. And it's making fun of cops, and like David Cross plays this character who his name is Ronnie Dobbs, and he's just like famous for being arrested on cops all over the place, and he just like all of the arrests that they show in the movie are very similar.
Yeah.
He sings a song called "Y'all Is Brutalizing Me." It's pretty good.
And that's all I got on Outlaws.
There you go, Outlaws and O'Kelly.
Let me give a brief follow-up to this. I don't know what we said earlier in the show or perhaps before the show, but when you said Outlaws, it was the second time it triggered a memory of the song Indian Outlaw by Tim McGraw for me tonight.
100% don't know what you're talking about.
So it was the song came out in 1994, and if you will recall, I was living in Arkansas during my youth, so country music was important to me. And this was actually a pretty popular song, so I looked up the Wikipedia article for this just to see the critical reception section of this, because I feel like it has not stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Because Tim McGraw is not a Native American, so... he wrote a song called Indian Outlaw, and it talks about in the content, it says the narrator describes himself as a rebellious Indian or American Indian character, half Cherokee and Choctaw, and describes, among other things, his pursuit of a Chippewa lover. So under the critical reception, Larry Flick of Billboard called it an incredible single that is positively stuffed with lyrical and musical Native American cliches from tom-toms to wigwams to peace pipes, and went on to say if it became a hit, it would set back relations 200 years.
That's amazing.
Oh, wow. That's a strong condemnation.
Is it my turn?
Yes, sir. Tell us about
All right.
Orange Julius.
So let's talk about Orange Julius.
Please. Please.
Following the last episode, pretty weirded out about Jamba Juice, if we're being real. So I decided this time I'm getting a drink from Orange Julius.
All right.
So, Orange Julius is a chain of American fruit drink beverage stores, acting as a wholly owned subsidiary of Dairy Queen, which is owned by Berkshire Hathaway.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so those Dairy Queen Grillin' Chills that you see, the chill is more than ice cream. There's a chance it's an Orange Julius.
Oh.
I know, pretty incredible. So it's owned. Yeah, Dairy Queen is owned by Berkshire Hathaway, which owns many of your favorite companies, including, but not limited to, Acme Brick Company.
Okay.
Benbridge Jewelers. Burlington Northern Santa Fe Corporation Railroad and Logistics Company.
What?
Business Wire Media. Fruit of the Loom. Geico. And See's Candy.
This is the most random selection of companies I have ever heard being under one roof.
They just bought them up. No big
Car
deal.
insurance, candy, frosty beverages, railroads. What?
So, additionally, they own Duracell. So Duracell makes more than batteries, I found out. They also make cameras and flashlights and things that kind of run on batteries, so I don't know.
Vibrators? Are you talking about vibrators?
I was going to say, are you talking about vibes?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Oh.
We are.
You are. I'm not. So while I was on the Duracell page, I saw a link at the bottom that said Duracell Bunny, and I thought that I was experiencing this Mandela effect style page where people were confusing the Energizer Bunny with another brand of batteries.
Oh, okay.
But
at the moment, I did not second guess that.
Right. Well, so the Duracell Bunny is a pink rabbit that's powered by batteries. But it was created in 1973 and predates the Energizer Bunny, another pink battery-powered rabbit, by about 16 years. The Energizer Bunny was created in 1989 and was
bullshit.
Clearly a product of the 80s because it's got the Wayfarers and the flip-flops.
Right.
And it's real 80s looking.
So you're telling me the Energizer straight up stole this idea and they're still using that icon?
Yeah. Energizer also filed a patent to block the use of all pink battery-powered rabbits in advertising in North America. So Duracell can use their rabbit overseas, but not in the United States or Canada. So there's this weird underground counterfeit battery industry in China where some companies just making knockoff batteries. So if you ever get some knockoff batteries from Duracell and they have the rabbit on them, that's why.
Don't use them.
Well, I mean, they might work or might explode. It's really up to you on how you're feeling. Anyway, back to Orange Julius. So
tell me how it tastes in my mouth.
It tastes like an orange drink.
Yeah.
It's not a juice. So it was founded in 1926 by this guy named Julius Freed. And it's based in Edina, Minnesota. shit, I screwed up my clue. I wanted to say at the beginning of this, portions of this segment are brought to you by StuffYouShouldKnow.com. So last week I was listening to this podcast called Stuff You Should Know, which is a podcast hosted by How Things Work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they did a podcast recently called How Malls Work, and they talk a lot about the history of shopping malls and their
And food
admittedly
courts.
bleak future. Yeah, and they talk about food courts. So Edina, Minnesota, is one of the places they talk about, and they talk about the Southdale shopping mall, which is a really large mall. It's like 1.3 million square feet. It's one of the largest malls in America, and it was actually the first climate-controlled shopping mall in the world. And it's
Making it
also
rain.
one of the first fully enclosed shopping malls. The way that shopping malls used to work is that all the stores would be the doors would be out-facing, kind of like when you go to an outlet mall or like any kind of like standard shopping center.
Right.
You'd
The
walk along
Southdale
the side.
Center was one of the first ones that turned all the doors inside, so you're always inside a large building.
Okay.
Anyway, I learned all of this from Stuff You Should Know. Visit their website, StuffYouShouldKnow.com. Edina's Southdale is a very large mall, but it's only 11 miles away from the largest mall in America, also known as
The Mall of
the
America.
Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota. So,
That's where Lex Luger joined WCW. Carry on. Sorry.
is that right?
It's real life. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because malls used to do that thing where, like, on the weekends, they would have some kind of, like,
Yeah.
dumb event in the middle, and everyone would, like...
Yeah, WCW's first live show was in the Mall of America, and that was when Lex Luger joined.
Incredible.
Yes.
Love it. So I looked it up. Both Southdale and Mall of America have an Orange Julius.
Thank you for that information.
So I tried to find information on why Orange Julius is so prevalent in malls and not anywhere else. Like, there's no Orange Julius stand or whatever.
The only one I've
Couldn't
ever
find it.
seen was in a mall. So, yeah.
Right? I couldn't find out why. Sorry, everybody. I think it has a lot to do with, like, lower rents of food court mall slots as opposed to a brick and mortar building. Also, their menu is pretty small. It's mostly only juice.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's not a lot to offer.
Yeah. So here's the history of the Orange Julius. I've got it from their own website, and the website is trying really, really, really hard to be hip. Like, I really suggest you check it out because it's like they got some kid who was like 23 to just kind of like write some real hip lingo. And it
Orange
sounds
Julius,
a lot
it's
like
lit.
"How do you do, fellow kids?"
Oh,
from like
they're
30
trying to do
Rock.
it. They're trying to compete with Jamba Juice. This is clear.
Yeah. So here's the history, and I'm going to read it verbatim. This is from the website. It says, it all started with a guy who really liked oranges. People called him Julius Freed. Julius liked oranges so much, in fact, that he opened his very own orange juice stand. The sales were slow, but Julius was not alone. He had a friend named Bill Hamlin. Sidebar, Bill Hamlin was the guy who owned the building that his stand was in. So they weren't just friends, like he was his landlord. Bill also really liked oranges, but they upset his stomach, so Bill got an idea and he blended his orange juice with a few choice ingredients to make it less acidic. And it also happened to make it frothy and delicious. Bill introduced this drink to Julius. Julius introduced the drink to his customers. His customers introduced it to their friends, and soon the store was lined with thirsty fans shouting, "Give me an orange, Julius!" Sales went through the roof,
Julius.
and an original was born.
Give me an orange. I've been waiting here for an hour.
Right, so...
God.
What is happening?
So, in 1926, Julius Freed tried to open a stand that sold only orange juice. Like, could you imagine living in a world and an economy where an orange juice store
Was like an
seems
option.
viable?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
That sounds wonderful.
I know.
Like, the only way that could ever fly is if it was a tiny stand on an orange orchard that you were, like, just happened to be on, and you're like, oh,
You mean like Oscar on Arrested Development, how he lives on the orchard and tries to sell orange juice to the soldiers?
yeah.
Or it's lemons. It's lemonade.
Lemonade.
I fucking hate lemons. Quote from the show.
All right.
Good show.
So Orange Julius has 2 drink lines now. They've got smoothies and Julius Originals. They started doing smoothies in 2012 to try to compete with like Jamba Juice.
Juice it up.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
Juice it up. And those are the kind of smoothies that you'd expect from your standard smoothie restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
But the Julius Originals are what you would expect from Orange Julius. So they've got some real sick marketing blurbs about how good these Orange Julius Originals are. And it's kind of along the same line, same narrative as the history, where they say, our legendary Julius Originals are blended to frothy perfection. But from whence doth this perfection arrive? Is it the fruit juice? Is it the ice? It might be the ice, come to think of it. But most agree that the secret lies in our ability to keep a secret. And what a delicious secret it is. Crisp, mysterious, perfect.
Okay, shut up. Shut up for a second. I'm at this website right now, and in the top right corner, there's a unicorn. There's a drawing of a unicorn, and it says, unicorn high five. What is going on there?
I don't know. Seriously, like...
I'm eyeballing the BOGO secret handshake. Which is just a clasp of hands and then fingertip touching, and that's how you shake. But there's also an asterisk that says secret handshake, subject to change without notice. This is a treasure trove.
So, like, the site was clearly made by somebody who was, like, 23 or so and, like, got a degree in marketing. But I don't feel like he, like, quite captured the magic of, like, the Denny's Twitter, which is fire, by
Wendy's.
the way.
No, Wendy's Twitter is the one that's killing it right now.
Wendy's is
Denny's
really
doing it
good
too?
Oh, dude, the Wendy's one is so, the Denny's one is so surreal.
I gotta get on that.
It's crazy. They like did this picture a really long time ago of like a steak, but then they superimposed like the Pepe the Frog face on it, and they said medium rare Pepe, and they just like post stuff.
Oh, they had
like,
to apologize for that, didn't they?
I don't know. I think it was before Pepe
it was
declared as a hate symbol. But it's just memes all day.
Okay, I'm looking at the nutrition information for the Orange Julius, and the very top of the page, it goes, printable nutrition facts. That's right, printable. Hang it in your locker. Stick it on the fridge. Place it in a frame over the mantle. Is it information or is it art? It's information.
What's happening?
Why is... what is the site?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is this made by Robert Hamburger?
I think it's made by Robert Hamburger about his favorite drink, Orange Julius.
It gives him all the energy so he can flip out and kill people.
Okay. So, if you go to the Orange Julius original page about the Orange Julius drink,
yes, sir.
It says, we had a dream that one day OJ would no longer stand for orange juice. No, it would stand for that delightfully charming mix of orange juice sweetener and mysterious perfection known as Orange Julius. The world caught on, and now it's a classic. Okay, I want to fill you guys in on what that mysterious perfection is. It's vanilla.
Yeah.
It's milk, and it's eggs.
That's it.
There are eggs in an Orange Julius.
That's pretty
and
gross.
Like, they don't like to call that out on the website anywhere.
Yeah.
They don't say the word egg anywhere. They'll say milk, they'll say vanilla, they'll say ice. They won't say eggs. But it's dehydrated powdered egg that they mix into your thing. And that's fine, right? It's whatever. But the thing about it is, like, putting egg in your drink is like such a 1950s thing to do, right? Like, and there's all these quotes on their website talking about, like, you do you be forward thinking, the world will catch up. And like they're trying to be like this like really like revolutionary thing with an egg white drink. And like I'm not into it.
That's backwards thinking.
All right. So
get those egg whites out of there. I hate cocktails with egg whites in them. I can't do it.
I've never done it, but they don't cook it and it weirds me out, and that's how you get salmonella, and I'm not trying to live that life. So you can get a nutrition boost at Orange Julius. Just want to let you guys know. You can get energy boost, antioxidant boost, vitamin C boost, fiber boost. You can also get banana and protein powder added to your drink, but I want to let you know, I know I just said you can get fiber boost, but that's in Canada only. So, just so you're aware.
What? I'm sorry. This website is blowing my mind.
Isn't it fantastic?
It's too much right now. It's too late for this. I'm 31 years old. I can't deal with this right now.
No, you have to. There's no other choice because this is the life you're living now.
Keeping it real since 1926. And then it says 1978, Fu Manjulius mustache trend overtakes fashion world.
No.
That's a straight up lie.
No, it does not, and no, it will not. God. Are we done?
Fu Manjulius.
Yeah, I have a little bit about food courts. You know, you got your standard food court fare. You got your Orange Julius. You've got your Sbarro.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they actually called out in that mall thing that I was talking about, because as we all know, mall traffic is on the decline because Amazon exists and they will send your things to you and you don't have to go deal with people. Sbarro actually filed for bankruptcy recently.
No.
And cited the decline of mall traffic as one of the key factors in that. So,
well, maybe they should have branched out a little bit.
No, please take this opportunity in the very near future to visit your local shopping mall and eat at a Sbarro where you get the pizza where they have the green stuff on top of the cheese that I think it's some kind of parsley. I don't know.
It's oregano, homeboy.
Whatever it is, you're never gonna get it again because that's it.
Probably not true.
I always go at the mall, like if I'm eating at the mall and I like Bridget will get like noodles from like a Mongolian place, and then I'm always like interested. I always want to go to Sbarro's, but then every time after you eat it, you're like, man, that was really expensive and not very good. See, like they should probably remedy that.
I always want to go to Hot Dog on a Stick and just relieve those people. give them something to look forward to in their day, because I got
to wear those dumb hats.
That outfit.
I've never been there. Is it?
I've never eaten.
Is it a corn dog
place?
It's
just corn dogs. It's corn dogs and lemonade.
Apparently, they also have like cheese on a stick.
They have like a mozzarella stick as well.
Yeah, that sounds gross too.
Yeah,
mall food.
Mall food. It's been a long time since I've been to a mall on purpose.
Let's go to the mall.
Yeah, you want to go to South Coast, and then we can cross that bridge that they don't let the poor people know about to go across the store where they got those Gucci's and stuff?
Yeah, of course I do.
Oh, man, I went over there one time, and I was like, oh, I don't think I'm supposed to be here.
They didn't check my W-2s at the door.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay,
are we done?
There you
I'm
go.
done. I'm done. That's really it. I hope you guys had a good time.
Oh, wait, can we do one thing? This can get edited out if we want to, but just because it came up and I'd like to have Jake learn the game, do you guys want to play a quick round of concentration?
Yeah.
So it's like a rhyming game, and you just like have to say things and keep the rhythm. And so the opening of it is, it's concentration. Concentration is this game. Keep the rhythm, or you'll be out of this game. Subject is, and then somebody will say like animals, and then we all just take turns in rhythm, just going like, bananas. Wait, that's not an animal.
Oh my god!
No, you'd go like monkeys, elephants, buffalo, and you just keep doing that. Like we all take turns. So
you just say a thing.
Yeah. But it has to be like whatever the subject is, and you kind of take turns.
All right, fire it off. Let's do this.
All right, I'll choose the subject. Concentration. Concentration is this game. Keep the rhythm, or you'll be out of this game. Subject is Superheroes. Superman.
Batman.
Okay, you guys both lost.
I was hoping
Chris,
that you would
I don't
like
have
say
a metronome
wrestlers.
on my desk.
No. I was really hoping that Chris was going to say wrestlers, and then I'd be like, I'm so ready for this because I've been watching wrestling and Dana hasn't.
No.
I was okay. Well, I'm sorry. I thought I'd teach you.
Maybe we can do this another
Why
time.
don't we
for
just
sure.
chalk this up to a loss?
We'll open up next episode with that.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end the show.
Have at it.
So
Please kill me.
no, let's not. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Please engage with me on social media. Like us on Facebook. Follow and retweet us on Twitter at _WikiWikiWhat. Visit our website at wikiwikiwhatpodcast.com. Or send us feedback or suggestions at wikiwikiwhatpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and we're having a lot of fun putting this out for you guys. We're learning a lot. We're forgetting a lot. We hope you're just kind of enjoying the format. We're kind of brainstorming ways that we might, take the show once we hit Z. Not a whole lot of ideas yet, but if you've got any cool thoughts on that, please don't hesitate to hit us up. Absolutely.
Yes. Hey, everybody. It's 2 a.m. Get on Wikipedia and go to bed. Or whatever the catchphrase is. I forgot what it is, too.